Long before the rise of cities, kings, and written words, humans were altering their landscapes. For over 95% of human existence, civilization as we know it didn't exist. No grand temples stood erect. There were no bureaucrats or stones inscribed with laws. Yet, this lengthy preamble set the stage for the emergence of civilization, making it, in many aspects, unavoidable. Modern humans first appeared in Africa around 300,000 years ago. During much of this time, they survived as hunter-gatherers within small nomadic groups. Their movements were dictated by seasons and rainfall patterns. They trailed migrating animals and sought out ripening plants. Their possessions were few, as survival relied upon mobility. What truly mattered was knowledge, knowing where water remained during droughts, which routes were safe, and identifying trouble in the skies. This existence was not primitive. It was remarkably precise. Over tens of thousands of years, stone tools evolved, becoming sharper and more specialized. Fire transitioned from a mere source of comfort to a vital technology. People utilized it for cooking, shaping wood, signaling others, and even managing ecosystems through planned burning. Many landscapes we now view as natural had been carefully tended over generations. Language emerged as a powerful tool, encapsulating experiences in stories, rules, and memories. Long before the establishment of cities, humans were engaged in artistic endeavors. They carved figures, stained cave walls, and buried their dead with meaningful rituals. Then, the world beneath them began to change. Approximately 20,000 years ago, Earth was nearing the climax of the last ice age. Enormous ice sheets blanketed much of the northern hemisphere. Sea levels were significantly lower, leaving coastlines miles away from today's shorelines. Human populations were sparse and dispersed, often driven into safe havens where food was still attainable. The landscape was defined by mammoths, vast grasslands, and icy vistas. Then, around 11,700 years ago, the climate transformed. Rising temperatures caused glaciers to melt. Rain patterns shifted. Rivers and lakes became more dependable in various regions, marking the onset of the Holocene epoch, a time of relatively stable climate. It wasn't that humans suddenly evolved to be smarter. Rather, the planet became more reliable. This newfound predictability opened a door to a different possibility: remaining in one place. In various areas, people began to settle in resource-abundant regions, particularly near rivers, coasts, and wetlands. Some communities evolved to be semi-sedentary, returning consistently to favored locations. They gathered wild grains and harvested plentiful fish. With time, they constructed sturdier homes and started managing plants and animals, initially in subtle ways, removing competing flora, safeguarding the most beneficial species, and selectively harvesting. This transition was not a straightforward shift from foraging to farming. It was a lengthy, uneven journey. Early agriculture was delicate. Crops often failed, leading to limited diets. Evidence from skeletal remains indicates that many early farming communities were shorter and often less healthy than their hunter-gatherer predecessors. Civilization didn't emerge as an advancement. It began as a risk, a trade of freedom and mobility for the promise of stability. So why embrace the gamble? One answer lies in societal pressure. As populations increased, optimal lands became saturated. Mobility diminished when neighboring groups competed for the same resources. Farming, despite its flaws, could sustain more individuals per square kilometer than traditional foraging. Storage emerged as another crucial factor. Grains could be gathered and dried foods counted. Stored calories could endure through harsh seasons. But this storage brought about new social dynamics, the need for control. Someone had to guard the surplus. Someone else had to distribute these resources. Decision-making about rationing arose when supplies dwindled. Surpluses didn't just nourish, they reshaped relationships among people. Long before the advent of cities, the complexity of society began to grow. Trade networks expanded across unexpected distances. Items like obsidian, shells, and pigments circulated hundreds of kilometers from group to group. Accompanying these materials were techniques, styles, and shared stories. Norms became essential since reputation carried weight. Leadership could arise without defined institutions, emerging in moments of need, ritual, or negotiation. However, There are intriguing exceptions to the conventional narrative. Göbekli Tepe, located in present-day Turkey, dates back more than 11,000 years. It features massive stone pillars arranged in ceremonial circles, constructed with remarkable coordination and foresight, seemingly too early in history. The likely builders were still hunter-gatherers, not settled agriculturalists. This revelation is important, hinting that organized ritual life may have developed before the advent of farming. Shared beliefs might have helped shape society prior to food production. Eventually, vital thresholds were crossed. Permanent settlements emerged, and surpluses grew. Concepts of property and defense began to take root. Specialized occupations arose: builders, potters, weavers, and ritualists. Systems for counting goods and obligations emerged. Over time, these marks and tokens developed into the first forms of writing. By around 3300 BCE, the first unmistakable civilizations emerged, particularly in Mesopotamia and Egypt. Yet an unsettling truth remains. Civilization didn't simply add cities to human life, it also constrained the range of lives humans could lead. Once fields, herds, walls, and reserves took precedence in survival, leaving such structures became nearly impossible. Hierarchy, inequality, and control were born alongside the promise of stability. The deeper question isn't just how civilization began, it's why humanity decided to cross the irreversible threshold. Civilization didn't merely erect cities. It subtly transformed our understanding of what it means to be human.